Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are doing something a little different. We're stripping away the emotional veneer from one of the most, well, frankly, terrifying aspects of human biology. We're talking about the inevitable catastrophic hardware failure that we call dementia. But, and I want to be very, very clear about this, right off the bat, we are not here to hold your hand.
God, no.
We are not here to offer platitudes or warm fuzzies or, thoughts and prayers.
If you're looking for a support group or a shoulder to cry on, you are absolutely in the wrong place. Turn this off now. We are here to conduct a systems analysis.
Right.
We're treating the human brain like what it is, legacy hardware. It's running unstable software that hasn't had a proper firmware update in about, 50,000 years?
That is the vibe today. We're taking a stack of research articles, medical journals, tech specs, and we're looking at dementia care and prevention through a strictly sysadmin lens, a systems administrator lens.
Exactly.
We're talking about treating the home like a secure server room, the body like a failing machine, and the caregiver as, well, the beleaguered IT admin who's just trying to prevent a total system crash.
The goal here is optimization. It's about uptime. We aren't here to talk about feelings. We are here to discuss how to monitor a failing unit, a patient, without, and this is key, without turning your house into a surveillance state that feeds data to big tech.
Yes.
We want to look at the medical debug process.
Yeah.
And we want to ensure the admin U doesn't suffer a catastrophic kernel panic while trying to keep the main server running.
I love that analogy, kernel panic, because that is exactly what the general public does, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You forget your keys, or you walk into a room and completely blank on why you're there, and immediately that internal monologue just screams, oh my God, I have Alzheimer's.
It's lazy diagnostics. It really is. It's the user-level equivalent of a computer running slow and the person immediately assuming the motherboard is fried.
When really?
When in reality, they just have 50 Chrome tabs open and haven't rebooted the machine in, 3 weeks. It's a resource issue, not a fundamental hardware failure.
Right. So let's unpack this kernel panic fallacy. Because there is a massive, massive difference between a system glitch and a total hardware failure. And I think the general public tends to lump everything under this terrified umbrella of just losing it.
We have to define our terms immediately,
Yeah.
or we're just going to be flailing around. The word dementia gets thrown around like it's a specific disease. It is not.
Okay, so what is it?
Dementia is a UI notification.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a pop-up window on your screen that says, system resources low, or error, file not found.
Ah, okay.
It's an umbrella term for a set of symptoms: memory loss, cognitive decline, confusion. It tells you something is wrong, but it doesn't tell you what is wrong. It's the check engine light.
I like that. The check engine light comes on. You don't immediately scrap the car. You plug in the diagnostic tool.
You're supposed to, yes.
Yeah.
You run the codes.
Okay, so if dementia is just the error message, what is the actual root cause? What is the malicious code that's executing in the background?
In about 60 to 80% of cases, the root cause, the actual malware, is Alzheimer's disease. That is a specific pathology.
Okay.
So if we stick to our computer analogy, which we absolutely will, relentlessly, Alzheimer's is a hardware issue. It's caused by digital trash.
Digital trash.
Yeah, you have two main culprits: amyloid plaques and tau proteins. Think of these as like junk files or cache data that just refuses to clear.
Right.
Or even better, bloatware that came pre-installed on the system and you just can't delete it.
Bloatware is the perfect way to describe it. It just sits there, it's taking up space, it's consuming resources, but it's not doing anything useful.
It's worse than not doing anything useful. It actively degrades performance. It accumulates. It clogs up the neurons, the actual wiring. The system slows down because the cache isn't clearing properly night after night.
But over time.
Over time, the connections, think of them like the buses between the CPU and the RAM. They physically degrade. They gummed up with this stuff. That is Alzheimer's. But, and this is where that sysadmin mindset is absolutely critical, you cannot just assume every laggy computer has a fried hard drive.
You have to check the logs first.
To check the logs, you have to run the diagnostics.
And this is where we get into the medical debugging part of our deep dive today because, traditionally, diagnosing this stuff has been a complete nightmare. It's like trying to troubleshoot a server that you're not allowed to open.
Right.
Because opening it voids the warranty, which in this case, the warranty is life.
Historically, yes, that's exactly what it was. The diagnostic protocol was basically wait until the system crashes completely, i.e. the person dies. Then you can open the case with an autopsy and see if there was gunk in the fans.
Which is Not helpful for the user.
Not helpful at all.
Yeah.
The alternative was a lumbar puncture.
Which is, let's be honest, that's hardware torture.
It is. It's sticking a needle in the spine to check the cerebrospinal fluid levels. It's invasive, it's expensive, and it is, frankly, barbaric hardware probing. It's like trying to check your car's oil level by drilling a hole in the engine block.
Not exactly user-friendly, but looking at the source material, and this is really interesting, the 2025 patch notes, let's call them, the diagnostic tech stack is finally getting an upgrade.
A long overdue one.
We are seeing the rollout of blood tests for biomarkers, specifically this thing called p-tau217.
This is the first time we've had a reliable diagnostic tool that doesn't involve surgery or, a morgue. It's a simple I/O check. We can now detect the presence of that digital trash, those tau proteins, in the bloodstream itself.
So it's like a remote sensor report.
Exactly. It effectively allows us to detect the hardware failure before the warranty completely expires.
This sounds like an absolute game changer. We're talking about a simple blood test. You go to a lab, they draw a vial, and they can tell you if your brain is accumulating garbage.
It's a cynicism-fueled victory, in a way. Finally, we can know for sure that the machine is broken without having to dismantle it first. It allows for early intervention, or at the very least early acceptance of the inevitable obsolescence.
That is incredibly pragmatic. But let's step back for a second, because you mentioned earlier that not every slowdown is a hardware failure.
Not even close.
So if I'm the admin and my user, let's say an aging parent, starts acting glitchy, I shouldn't immediately go online and order a new motherboard or start looking for nursing homes.
Yeah.
I should check the drivers first.
Exactly. You need to run a check disk for imitators. There are conditions out there that look exactly like dementia. The UI notification is identical. But the root cause is a reversible software error.
And you missed them.
If you scrap the PC because you didn't bother to check the voltage, that is on you as a bad administrator. You are guilty of, well, negligence.
Okay, let's list these imitators, because this is the part where people might actually save a life, or at the very least save themselves and their family a lot of misery. What are the most common driver conflicts that look like dementia?
First on the list, and this is shockingly, infuriatingly common, vitamin B12 and vitamin D deficiency.
Vitamins? Really, it just sounds so basic.
It is basic, which is why it's so enraging when it's missed by medical professionals. Think of vitamin B12 as the voltage regulator for your entire nervous system. It's essential for maintaining the myelin sheath.
The insulation on the wire.
The insulation on the neural cables, exactly.
Yeah.
If you have a severe B12 deficiency, the voltage drops. The signal-to-noise ratio goes to hell, and the user can enter what looks like a vegetable state. Cognitive function plummets. They look, for all the world, like they have end-stage Alzheimer's.
But it's not a hardware failure.
No, it's a battery issue. You give the B12 shot, you restore the proper voltage, and the system reboots. It is entirely reversible. I have seen cases, literally, where patients were being prepped for memory care units, and it turned out they just needed a shot in the arm.
That is terrifying. The idea that someone could be institutionalized, written off as broken hardware when all they needed was a software patch and a battery charge?
It happens more than you'd want to think. So while you always check the logs, you run the blood panel.
Okay, so that's number one. What's next on the imitator list?
Next up, the thyroid. Hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism.
The thyroid is the power supply unit, right? The PSU for the whole system.
Precisely. The thyroid regulates the metabolic rate. You can think of it as the clock speed of the processor. If the thyroid is underactive, that's hypothyroidism, the voltage is too low, the processor lags, operations time out. The user seems slow, confused, lethargic.
And the other way.
If it's overactive, hyperthyroidism, the system overheats and glitches out. You get erratic behavior, anxiety, confusion. If the voltage is dirty or unstable, the brain simply cannot process data correctly.
And again, this isn't a broken CPU.
It's not a broken CPU, it is a power delivery failure. You fix the PSU, you get the medication right, and the computer runs fine again.
So check the vitamins, check the thyroid. What's the third big one?
Depression.
Yeah.
Specifically, depression in the elderly. In clinical terms, we often call this pseudo-dementia.
Pseudo-dementia, that sounds deceptive, like the system is faking it.
It's a user interface issue. See, when a younger person is depressed, they typically can articulate it. They say, I'm sad. They can describe the emotional state. When an elderly person is severely depressed, their system often just stops allocating resources to external tasks.
So it's a resource management problem.
Yes. The hard drive isn't wiped, the data is all still there, but the search function is broken. The indexing service has crashed.
So they haven't actually forgotten the name of their grandchild?
No, the file exists, but the system lacks the RAM or the CPU cycles to execute the retrieve command. They're just staring at a spinning loading wheel. They say, I don't know, not because the memory is gone, but because the effort to fetch it is too high for the available system resources.
So if you treat the underlying depression,
If you treat the depression, if you free up those system resources with therapy or medication, the memory comes back online. The search function starts working again.
so the big takeaway for our sysadmin listeners is crystal clear. Before you accept that fatal error message, you have to debug the system.
You must.
Run the blood panel, check the B12, check the thyroid function, screen for depression. Don't throw out the machine until you've checked all the cables.
Correct. We're looking for a root cause analysis, not a guess. We
Yeah.
don't guess in this house. We run the diagnostics.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's assume we've done the debugging. The diagnostics are back. It's not B12. The thyroid is fine. The depression screen is clear. It is, unfortunately, the legacy hardware failing. It's Alzheimer's or Lewy body or vascular dementia. The decline is confirmed and it's happening.
Right.
Now our role shifts. We stop being the repair technician and we start being the network administrator. We have to manage the failing system.
Welcome to the Panopticon.
Yeah.
The home-built, privacy-first Panopticon.
This is the part of the deep dive where we get really cynical about big tech. Because the standard lazy advice for monitoring an elderly relative with dementia is, hey, just buy a bunch of Ring cameras, put an Alexa in every room and watch them on your phone.
Which is an absolute unmitigated security nightmare. You are essentially taking a vulnerable human being, putting them in a digital fishbowl, and streaming that video feed to servers in China, or giving Google and Amazon unrestricted access to your home's interior.
It's lazy.
It is lazy, it's unsafe, and it creates a massive privacy leak, not to mention the dignity aspect of it.
Do you really want a video clip of your dad wandering around in his underwear stored on an AWS bucket somewhere, just waiting for the next data breach?
Exactly. So let's set up the scenario. You are the sysadmin. You've got a localized setup, maybe a cheap, efficient N100 mini PC with 16 gigs of RAM. It's running Home Assistant. Your mission is to monitor the failing unit, the patient, without being creepy, and crucially, without leaking a single byte of data. How do we do it?
We need to decouple the concept of monitoring from vision. You do not need to see your grandmother naked in the bathroom to know that she is safe.
You just need to know her state. Is she upright? Is she moving? That's the data you need.
So what's the hardware?
The hardware solution here is wave radar, millimeter wave.
Like the scanners at the airport.
It's a similar technology, but for a very different application. We're talking about devices like the Everything Presence One or similar things you can build yourself. These sensors integrate directly into a local ecosystem like Home Assistant. They don't use optics. There is no lens.
So how does it work?
It emits very low-power radio waves, and it measures the reflections.
So what does the sensor see? It doesn't see a person, right?
It sees a point in space. It sees a disturbance in the RF field. Its output is just data. Target A is at coordinates XYZ. It's so sensitive it can detect micro movements like the chest rising and falling from breathing. It knows presence. But it cannot, under any circumstances, generate an image.
That is the key. It is privacy by design.
It is dead reckoning for the home. You set up a simple script and automation in your server. If a movement in bathroom stops for 10 minutes, then trigger alarm on my phone.
That's brilliant. You get the safety, if they've collapsed or passed out in the shower, but you never have to worry about a hacker in Russia accessing a camera feed of your elderly parent.
Exactly. It's 100% privacy, just data points, no visuals. You are monitoring the telemetry of the human, not the video feed of the human.
But sometimes you do need a camera, right? I mean, maybe in a hallway or the kitchen, if you want to confirm they haven't left the stove on or if they've fallen in the living room and you need to see what's going on.
If you absolutely must use optics, you use Edge AI. You do not stream raw video.
Okay, explain the difference for the people who just go to Best Buy, plug in a Nest Cam, and hope for the best.
A traditional IP camera, your Ring, your Nest, captures video and streams it to a network video recorder, an NVR, or, much worse, to the cloud for processing.
And the cloud does the thinking.
The cloud does the thinking. The cloud servers ask, is that a person? Is that a package? The processing happens remotely. Your private data leaves your premises. With Edge AI using hardware like a Luxonis OKD camera, the neural network runs on the camera itself. The silicon, the AI chip, is right there behind the lens.
So the camera is doing the thinking locally.
Yes. The camera watches the room. When it sees the patient fall, it processes that visual data internally. It does not send the video to you. It sends a tiny, efficient binary signal. True or false.
I love that. It's Boolean logic applied to human tragedy.
It's cynical engineering at its absolute finest.
Good.
We don't care about the video. We don't want the video. We only care about the Boolean state of the patient's verticality.
Are they vertical? True. Are they horizontal? False.
And if false, send an alert via MQTT directly to your phone. Done.
It's efficient. It saves bandwidth. And once again, it keeps the data local. No one at Amazon or Google needs to know how often your dad falls down. It stays on your LAN, your local area network.
Exactly. Speaking of Amazon, let's talk about voice assistants. Because for a dementia patient, a voice assistant is actually a very useful accessibility tool.
Oh, for sure.
They can ask, what time is it? 100 times a day without the machine getting annoyed. They can say, remind me to take my pills.
But the problem, as we all know, is that Alexa and Siri are wiretaps.
They are data harvesting devices masquerading as helpful assistants. They record your conversations to improve the model, which is just corporate speak for we're parsing your private medical discussions for ad targeting.
You mentioned incontinence once near an Echo Dot, and suddenly your Facebook feed is just full of adult diaper ads for the next 6 months.
It's dystopian and completely unacceptable in this context.
So what's the Geek's Guide solution to this?
Local voice assist. You run it yourself. Home Assistant is making massive strides here with their Year of the Voice project. You build a voice pipeline that runs entirely on your local server, that little N100 mini PC we mentioned.
So the wake word, the speech to text, the intent recognition, all of that happens on my machine in my house.
All of it. You can set up take your pills, reminders, answer basic questions, control the lights, all without a single byte of audio ever leaving your LAN.
So you get all the convenience, but you've cut the wire to the cloud.
Precisely. You own the infrastructure. If the internet goes down, your house still works. If Amazon changes their privacy policy to be even more invasive, you don't care.
Okay, let's talk about one more piece of hardware. Tracking. This is a big one. One of the biggest fears is wandering. The patient leaves the house, gets confused, and walks into traffic or into the woods. The standard solution is, what? A GPS tracker with a SIM card.
Which brings us to the sauces curse.
Yeah.
Subscription as a service. You buy the tracker for $100, but then you have to pay $10 or $20 a month forever for the SIM card data.
And the battery life is terrible.
Awful. Because GPS and 4G cellular are incredibly power hungry. You're lucky if you get a day or two. And again, you are sending precise, real-time location data to some third-party server you have no control over.
So how do we track the asset without the monthly fee and the data leak?
LoRaWAN. It stands for Long Range Wide Area Network.
How does that work? Is it like Wi-Fi?
Not really. It's a very low-power, low-bandwidth radio protocol. It's designed for IoT devices, things like smart water meters, agricultural sensors in fields. A LoRaWAN tracker can run for weeks, sometimes months, on a single tiny battery charge.
Because it's not sending much data.
It's sending tiny packets of data, just the coordinates. That's it.
And what about the coverage? How does it connect?
That's the catch. You need a network. In many cities, there is community-driven coverage, like the Things Network. But if you are the sysadmin, you do not rely on the kindness of others.
You build it yourself.
You buy a LoRaWAN gateway, costs maybe $100, $150, and you stick it on your balcony or on your roof.
So you're basically building your own private cell tower.
Effectively, yes. For this specific purpose, you create a coverage bubble of a few miles around your home. If the patient wanders outside that bubble, their tracker pings your gateway. The data is encrypted with AES-128. It hits your local server. You get the coordinates on a map that you host.
No Google Maps API. No monthly fee.
You are running your own private intelligence agency to monitor one asset.
That is the ultimate power move. I don't need AT&T or Verizon. I have my own triangulation network for my dad.
It's about control. It's about resilience. When you are managing a failing system, you cannot rely on external vendors who might change their terms of service, raise their prices, or suffer an outage. You keep the loop local.
Okay, so we've debugged the patient. We've set up our private secure panopticon with Melmwave and LoRaWAN. Now we need to talk about the most critical component in this entire stack. The one that's most likely to fail.
The admin.
The caregiver.
This is where most systems fail. It's not because the hardware the patient finally gives out. It's because the admin crashes first.
We call it caregiver burnout, but that term feels too soft. It's too gentle. It sounds like you just need a nap and a spa day.
Burnout is a euphemism. It's a marketing term. We need to reframe this with the cold, hard logic it deserves. It is a systemic failure. It is a collapse of the control plane.
Walk us through the logic there. What does that mean?
It's simple causality. If the admin, the caregiver, crashes, physically, mentally, emotionally, it doesn't matter. The server, the patient, dies. It's that simple.
Because the dependency is absolute.
The patient is incapable of running their own processes. They rely entirely on the admin for all I/O operations: food, hygiene, medication, safety. If the admin goes offline, even for a day, the dependency chain breaks. The system fails.
So when people say you need to take care of yourself, it's not about being selfish. It's not about me time or getting a pedicure.
No, it is about uptime. It is a core system requirement. Hiring help, getting a respite nurse to come in, or sending the patient to an adult daycare is not abandonment. It is not giving up.
It's delegating processes.
It is delegating processes to ensure system stability. You are load balancing. You are offloading non-critical tasks to a secondary server so that the primary domain controller, you, doesn't overheat and melt down.
It's pure cynical pragmatism.
Emotions are irrelevant here. Your love for the patient does not matter if you are dead from a stress-induced stroke. Uptime is the only metric that counts.
That is cold, but it's absolutely true. So let's pivot one last time. Let's talk about self-hosting prevention. How do we, the admins, prevent our own hardware from failing?
Yes.
How do we avoid becoming the legacy hardware we are currently trying to patch? Because, the genetics are often shared. The vulnerability might be in our code too.
We look at the optimization protocols. We have to be disciplined.
Right.
We know the mechanism of the failure now, the amyloid buildup, the vascular decline. So we execute a preventative maintenance script on ourselves.
And step one is cardio. And we're not just talking about walking the dog around the block.
No, we are talking about zone 2 cardio. This is non-negotiable. It is a mandatory system update.
Okay, define the spec. What does that actually mean?
The spec is 180 to 200 minutes per week of zone 2 training. That is a steady state, low-intensity effort. Your heart rate should be around 60 to 70% of your maximum. The simple test is you should be able to hold a conversation, but you'd rather not because you're focused on breathing rhythmically.
Why zone 2 specifically? Why not sprinting? Why not high-intensity interval training, HIIT?
HIIT is great for other things, but zone 2 specifically stimulates mitochondrial efficiency, and crucially for this topic, it promotes neurogenesis in the hippocampus.
The memory center of the brain.
The memory center. It's the first part of the hard drive to get corrupted in Alzheimer's. Zone 2 cardio literally upgrades your hardware while it is running. You are growing new sectors on the disk. You are future-proofing the system.
So 180 minutes a week, that's what, 3 hours, 45-minute sessions. It's doable. What's step 2 in the maintenance script?
The nightly defrag. Sleep.
We all know sleep is important, but connect it directly to that digital trash analogy we started with.
This is the glymphatic system. Note the G, not L. It is literally the brain's plumbing and waste removal system. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain cells physically shrink a little bit, creating more space between them.
Oh.
Cerebrospinal fluid then rushes into these expanded channels, and it washes out the metabolic waste that accumulated during the day. That includes the amyloid beta and tau proteins we talked about.
It is literal garbage collection.
It is sudo-apt-get auto-move. It's the nightly cleaning script. If you do not get enough deep sleep, the trash stays in the cache, it hardens, it becomes plaque, the script fails to run.
And this is where we have to deliver the bug report that people absolutely hate hearing.
Alcohol.
Alcohol is a disaster for this process. It sedates you, yes, and knocks you out. But it prevents the brain from entering the deep delta wave sleep that is required for the glymphatic flush to activate.
So you're unconscious, but you're not getting the restorative cleaning part of sleep. Correct. Even 1 or 2 drinks before bed effectively paralyzes the garbage collectors. You wake up with yesterday's trash still piled up in the hallway. You do that for 30 or 40 years. The hallway is completely blocked.
So if you are serious about preventing dementia, you have to protect your sleep cycles. And that means stopping the glass of wine to wind down. It's crashing the most important maintenance protocol you have.
It's a chemical exploit you are willingly running on your own system. Stop it.
Okay. Last optimization protocol, input-output maintenance. Specifically, hearing.
This is one of the strongest correlations we have in the data, and people just ignore it out of vanity.
Yeah.
Poor hearing is one of the fastest, most reliable routes to dementia.
Why? Is it just because you're missing information?
It's more than that. It's about processor load. If your hearing input, your audio driver, is degraded, your brain has to dedicate massive amounts of CPU cycles just to interpret the garbled noise. What did he say? Was that my name? It's constantly running a decryption algorithm on bad data.
And that pulls resources away from other cognitive tasks.
It pulls resources away from memory, from executive function, from planning. And eventually, the user just stops trying. They withdraw.
Social isolation.
Lack of data input. The processor begins to idle. And in biology, what idles? Degrades. If the I/O ports aren't being used, the system decides the drivers are unnecessary and uninstalls them.
So the fix is painfully simple. Get the hearing aids.
Immediately. Swallow your pride. It is not for vanity. It is to keep the I/O ports open. If you cut off the data stream to the server eventually shuts down.
All right, let's summarize the stack. We've covered a lot of ground here, from diagnostics to hardware to self-maintenance.
The tech stack for aging with dignity, or at least with functionality, is clear.
1. Diagnostics.
Use the new patch notes. Get the p-tau217 blood test to know what you're dealing with. And before you panic, check the imitators B12, thyroid, depression. Run the damn logs.
2. Monitoring.
Privacy first. Build your own system. Use millimeter-wave radars for presence, not cameras. If you need a camera, use Edge AI like the OKD for fall detection. Use local voice assists through Home Assistant. And use LoRaWAN for tracking. Keep your family's data out of the cloud.
And 3. Maintenance.
Protect the admin at all costs to prevent a total system collapse. And for your own hardware, your own brain, Zone 2 cardio 180 minutes a week minimum. Protect the lymphatic sleep cycle, which means no alcohol, and fix your hearing to keep the inputs clean.
It's a cynical approach. It definitely strips away all the romance of growing old gracefully.
Grace is a marketing term. Entropy is a law of physics. The body is just a machine with a planned obsolescence date stamped on it from the factory. You cannot stop the hardware from failing eventually.
But with enough RAM.
With enough RAM, enough millimeter-wave radars, and a strict disciplined adherence to the maintenance schedule, you can keep the server running a little longer. You can maintain uptime without paying a monthly subscription fee to Google or checking into a nursing home prematurely.
And that is the goal. Self-hosted survival.
Check your voltage, your thyroid. Sleep your 8 hours. And for the love of logic, do not let your grandmother become a data point for Amazon's ad targeting algorithm.
That's it for this deep dive. Keep your systems running. We'll see you on the next reboot.